Hello everyone, welcome on Facebook Live, youtube.com, KEVOLE, soundcloud.com, KEVOLE, Spreaker.com, KEVOLE, and happy Wednesday to you. It feels like Tuesday to some, I'm sure, because it's the second day of your long weekend. And I am sitting again in Vancouver thinking of my hometown of Calgary, and as the civic elections coming up, I'm genuinely curious as to what is going on. And last night, a little bit last night, and earlier today, I had a chance to listen to the final mayor debate in the sprawl election form, not the spawn as I put before, but the sprawl. Though maybe it should be called the spawn. You decide, the spawn or the sprawl, or the person, people that organize it can make that decision for themselves. But I thought I would take the time to kind of just go through the people that went through and how I would actually rank them. I'm going to rank them from bottom to top. I'm not including Brent Chisholm in this because he wasn't there, so it's hard to rank him as far as a performance. And there's a lot of people that I had the first time that I have heard from in this conversation. And so I'm genuinely curious because there's a lot of, on my Facebook and my Twitter feed, following a lot of you, I'm seeing a lot of conversation about this. There's a really passionate debate about this, which is leading me to be curious also about what's going on. Also, the fact that I'm a complete and utter nerd for this stuff helps as well. So we'll go through the final 9, and if you guys listened to the debate or heard some things, or you were there, you have some insights that I don't, I would greatly appreciate it. And please feel free to comment on Facebook Live. Also, we'll be posting this a little bit later on YouTube. And I will also be doing a Twitter poll as well with this. So I'm going to start first with number 9 on my list is Stan the Man Wojciech. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. I heard it twice. And I'm going to try to do kind of a pro and con to be kind of Canadian sandwich this a little bit as best as I can. I'm not going to be, my intent is not to insult anyone that has taken the time and the effort to put their name forward to be a mayor candidate. I would have known, if I ran for mayor, you would not vote for me. If I run for mayor, don't vote for me. Don't do it. It wouldn't work. I promise. But, so I think maybe the best thing that I could say is that he was aware that there are some issues. If you go on his platform on the city of Calgary, he is aware of some things. He wrote an article in the CBC as one of the mayor candidates, and he's aware of issues. I just didn't see a lot of experience, knowledge, or anything that told me that he would be a viable candidate to the position. And so when I heard him, I had trouble taking that as necessarily an option, but I really appreciated that he came out and he brought up some issues. Not any concrete solutions, unfortunately, so I had him. So I'm just going to talk about him. Then we have Larry Heather. Oh, Larry Heather. Oh, Larry. He researches stuff. Whether it's full of facts or not, you can debate that, or love and heart. And he has stepped out. This is his 20th time that he has ran for some sort of public office. He started in 1984. He has run for federal, provincial, candidacy, leadership for parties, public school boards. He has never finished higher than 4th. But he keeps running. He's put himself out there. I guess you gotta admire stepping out and doing that. He's known for terrible, hateful comments. He made a comment about women. I'm not going to get into it. I just can't take anything seriously. There's a lot of hateful stuff he's done. I mean, he goes to pride festivals and protests. He said some really horrible things about a lot of different people. He was actually banned from city council for 2 years. Yeah, he gets out as a pro, but there's just it's too much. There's a lot, even so. But there were people that were voting for him. There were people that were. I'm not sure why there were people cheering for him. There was like this was like polite Calgary Canadian applause, or like, hey, this guy has some ideas. I'm going to prefer that it was just polite applause for the general sense here. And then we had Jason Achtymichuk. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I practiced it. Otherwise known as Jason GoGo. He has a lot. I liked his look. It's a hat. Has a funky look. Looked very different than everybody else. That stood out to me. Had some passion behind him, but not a lot of knowledge of issues. I'm not sure again if he had the grasp of what the possession was. I know that he has a great line on his YouTube where he talks a little bit about the only thing that's happened in 7 years is food trucks and tax hikes and bike lanes. Food trucks, bike lanes, and tax hikes, and two are bad for the arteries and one will affect your heart, which is a witty line. He actually seems like a really interesting guy. I would love to hear more about his travels and his experience of traveling and kind of his musical career. Someone's mentioned on the comments on the Facebook thread that he's like a beat poet. It would have been funny to hear him do some beat stuff. Those people in Midland ended up in Finland or something like that. I'll let him do it, not me. But yeah, interesting guy. Then we had Emile, Emile, sorry, I mispronounced his name. His name is Emile. Let me get his info here. My biggest problem with Emile was that I actually literally could not hear him, which at this point I do want to bring up something here. I think a huge congratulations goes out to Joey O'Crawford for doing a fantastic job moderating that debate. He got a temperature of the room. He acknowledged the undecided. He engaged everybody. There was a time he challenged when people actually didn't answer a question, which was great. And specifically with midfield, when it was a two-part question, he asked people, the moderator, or the timer, he was the moderator, the timer, to give more time. And the debate with 9 candidates to allow everyone to speak and give time, I thought he did a great job. So I want to applaud Joey Overhoff for doing a fantastic job. Well-spoken, very intelligent human being. So I congratulate him on doing a very good job. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly, my apologies, I wrote everything down and then I mispronounced the gentleman's name. His name is Emile, but I couldn't hear him. I had trouble hearing him, especially at the start. He wasn't, I don't know if it was me and my not hearing or it was him speaking. I couldn't hear, but I had trouble at the beginning. Emile Gabriel, not Emile Graham, Dr. Emile Gabriel. But I really thought from what I can clear, he was talking a little bit more about his management experience towards bringing his management experience and not being a politician. It's a political position. I was thinking in my head every time the guy said it, it's politics. But I understood what he was trying to get to. And I thought he expressed it well. And if you wanted the YouTube channel, it was, or the YouTube page, if you go on the City of Calgary website, he presented himself very well there. It sounds like he's got a lot of experience, but I just couldn't hear him. I couldn't hear him clearly, and I had difficulty with that. That was my biggest challenge with him. Number 5, I had Curtis Olsen. I know that there's a lot of people that seem to have becoming enamored with Curtis Olsen. Sounds like he's gotten a little bit late into this campaign. The theme that I got away from him was professionalism. He wanted to bring a professional approach to city council. He's an ex-cop. I absolutely thought he showed a lot of professionalism and confidence. So was actually impressed with his experience in budget. That would have totally stumbled me. But I was actually turned off by him at the beginning. And I struggled with the fact that he started his whole presentation with the idea that he was the media coverage. And I'm not there in Calgary. to hear what the media coverage has been like one way or the other. I'm only really getting like bits and pieces. I mean, following the news and stuff. I'm not in the city. But that kind of threw me off that I'm sure that the media can do a better job, but like kind of taking that tone turned me off, because I think in some ways, if you're going to get into this, and one of the things that I'm personally learning is you got to get yourself out there and make that effort as well. And I'm not saying he's not, but it kind of instantly kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I did hear a heck of a lot of substance. Not a lot, not as much as I was expecting from him. I expected a little bit more, and I maybe thought there was some inexperience that came out. But I would be curious if he took another run at this maybe next time, or a run at council if there's a by-election, and if this experience will help him next time. It would get his name out. People will start to know him a little bit more, and he could do better. But from what I saw, I wasn't jumping up and down and like, wow, this is Curtis Olsen is an intriguing human being. I'm sure he is an intriguing human being, but in terms of this, I didn't have him high on the list. Number 4, I had David Lapp. I had a great sense of humor. He had a lot of fun, and perhaps that's because he doesn't really have a chance of winning, and he's kind of enjoying himself. He had a really funny line where he was talking about transit and working at his restaurant job and running for transit, and then yelling Nenshi, which brought the house down. So I thought that was really funny. I thought his answer on secondary suites was an interesting answer, in that he wanted to bring it to all of the wards for a consultation or vote. There's some pros and cons to that, but that was a different idea that I hadn't heard before, and I thought that kind of, when I heard it made some sense. He had some fight in him. He kind of took a shot, not only at Nenshi, he took a shot at Chabot about midfield, saying it's not good a lot. I thought he showed a lot of heart, but the problem is as I mentioned, I don't think people see him as a legitimate candidate, and if you are voting one way or the other in a close race, I don't think that people are going to necessarily put that vote. They would probably think if you're a strategic voter, that might be a wasted vote. But I'm kind of compare him to Curtis. Comparing to Curtis Olsen, I think if you give this guy another shot at council or mayor again, I think that taking this experience can help him the next time around. There was something there. There was something I was like, there's something there. There's something that you could get kind of be interested in, but it wasn't there. It didn't come out. So I think more experience will help him out going forward. Number 3 is and I teased this on Facebook. I think that this is a 2-horse race and not the one that people are thinking. Number 3 on my list is Bill Smith. And yeah, I heard a lot of people cheering for whenever this guy talked. He had the loudest cheer in the room. He has very much a presence about him. He comes across very confident. But I'm going to ask Bill Smith voters, can someone tell me, what specifically did he answer in any question last night? He was asked about secondary suites, he flipped the question. He was asked about ethics, flipped the question. He was asked about midfield, and he said, well, I wasn't there, so talk to those guys, which I guess is kind of a fair answer. He clarified his position on transit, but he didn't give another solution to transit. So when I hear Bill Smith and everyone is clamoring for him, and apparently he's leading the polls, I'm hoping that I have some sort of solution from him, and I didn't hear an answer. I didn't hear a single answer from Bill Smith. As I mentioned on Twitter, I mentioned on Facebook, I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't got it. And it's going to be really interesting for the rest of this week, because I think the questions of him are going to be a lot tougher considering he's leading. I'm curious how he's going to handle that. I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm not convinced he's in the top 2 in the panel. I could be very wrong. Again, could be wrong, but I don't see him in the top 2. I had Andre Chabot number 2. There was a lot of knowledge, and I felt a real sense of high respect of the issues that he gave and the room gave to him. Clarified a lot of positions. I felt to me that if you're going to pick someone, if you need to be different, he would be the closest to different that has experience. I thought it was a very interesting the way that Nenshi treated him compared to everybody else, because it felt like there was a deeper respect from Nenshi to Chabot, than I heard anybody else on the panel from Nenshi, which told me a lot. I wasn't sure what to make about his answer about midfield. He kind of threw his hands up. And I think that there's a lot of people that are feeling that Bill Smith is a better option. But I feel like I thought that Chabot presented himself in a far more experience-centered manner than Smith did, in my opinion, in that presentation. And finally, number 1 is Nenshi. And look, you know what, like him or not, we'll get into this. But this was seemed to me like a very different Nenshi. Yes, he was confident. Yes, he was having fun. But I think he also knew the stakes here. He took this seriously. He had a lot of fun. He kind of had a change of his approach where I think it wasn't talking down. He talked to. He presented a lot of his accomplishments, whether you like it or not. He presented more accomplishments, and he presented more ideas going forward than anyone else at that point. By far, it wasn't any question. He had a presentation about the cops, a presentation, an idea about a few other transit, and a few other things that I didn't hear as much. I know where Nenshi is going way more than I know where Bill Smith is going, and that's telling to me. When people were challenging him on a couple of things, especially some of the things that were happening, that have happened that people were questioning about, I came to the conclusion that although maybe I don't like the way that it happened, I was appreciative of the experience that Nenshi brought, as opposed to someone who hasn't been in that position trying to handle those situations. So, a couple of things though. I do agree and understand that there needs to be more cops. I didn't hear anything about the idea of maintaining what you have, and may not be relevant in reducing potential stress levels, which is a conversation that happens a lot here in Vancouver, especially with people on the downtown east side. So I don't know if that's something that needs to be happening there, especially with the fentanyl crisis. And transit. If I'm an MRU student, not Royal University student, I'm still asking why the heck there's no LRT going past my school when they're going past everyone else. And the north-south side about the transit, I think, is still a big question that I wouldn't be asking everyone else. I didn't hear necessarily an answer one way or the other about that. Even Lapp was like, we need to bring transit to the 21st century, and I didn't, like, how do you do that? Right? And so this would be ultimately my conclusion, and this is a longer video than usual, but yeah, he has his strengths, yeah, he has his weaknesses, but I didn't, if you want to make a change, and I understand that people want to make a change, I would want to hear someone that has a better idea going forward with City Council as a mayor than what we currently have. And I have to tell you that I didn't necessarily hear that. The closest to it was Chabot, but I didn't think anyone else brought forward any closer, any clearer plan than what Nenshi has going forward. So feel free to disagree with me if you have any other insights. Love to hear from them. Thanks for listening to this video on Facebook Live. Again, it will be posted on YouTube as well. We'll post a Twitter poll, and also Spreaker.com, Soundcloud.com, KEBOLE. And before we go, I always want to check the comments and see what people say. Nice to hear, yes. I love you too, Leah. That's nice, and that's all I hear. So feel free to comment on anything else. We'll talk to you all very soon. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of the day. Bye for now.